Alright, so, first off, my name's Cameron. I don't know why I feel like I need to explain that, like, introduce myself, because I'm probably not gonna show this to anybody or put it anywhere, but whatever. So, anyway, my name's Cameron. I go to Texas State, and that is one of the reasons why I'm making this video, is because for my writing for film class, my professor says that if I'm really serious about writing, I should watch a movie a day. So that's what I decided to do. I decided to watch a movie a day. And to be perfectly honest, I'm not doing great with that. I haven't watched exactly a movie a day, but when I do, I always choose really good movies, except on the weekends, because I let my girlfriend choose, and we had just different tastes. She's more of like a romantic girl, and I'm more of like I would say more artsy film. I really like that. So, which brings me to the movie I watched tonight. I watched Birdman, which was a movie when it first came out I really wanted to see, but I think it came out in 2014, and I was just not in a position. Well, you know, I was like a high schooler, like a freshman, I believe, so like I didn't even have the means to go see the movie. So anyway, I watched it. I just got finished watching it, and my immediate reaction is just wow. Like, a lot of stuff happened in that movie. Like, I felt like the movie really expressed what it's like to be typecasted, I guess, in Hollywood especially. Like, you get these old actors, like, for example, everyone knows Tom Hanks as Forrest Gump. Like, he has had multiple prevailing roles through his career, but primarily, at least in my mind, if I say Tom Hanks, I think of Forrest Gump. I don't think of Woody, which is also a good example, but I don't think of Sully or I don't think of like his other amazing roles. Like, even though he's had tons of amazing roles, I don't think of those. So I feel like the main character, Rickman, I think his name was, I I think that this movie really shows that, because you have this aged actor who came up in like the 90s when like superhero movies were just coming into become relevant, and which is a great choice for the actor, because the actor who plays him played Batman, which in the 90s, which is crazy. That so he's kind of like mirroring his life almost. So it was just interesting, because there are multiple points in this movie where it blurs the line of reality and fiction, which I guess that's kind of like, it's kind of like when you go to a theater or a movie, even like how he was doing this Broadway production. Broadway, like, actors are supposed to blur the line of reality and fiction. So it's like they're convincing you that what you're seeing happening on the stage or the screen is really happening. Like, they're trying to sell you on this character who's completely made up. So I feel like the movie itself, like, when it wasn't doing the Broadway production especially, it definitely, like, controlled that, because there are moments where it looks like Rickman is able to just like fling stuff, has like telekinetic powers, move shit with his mind, but when he's doing that in the dressing room, we see his manager or producer, I think his name's Jake, I'm not too sure though, but we see him enter the room, and instead of the telekinetic power and battle that the main character is having with himself, we see our main character just being a normal person trashing his dressing room. So it really shows that, it really expresses that it wasn't reality. It was fiction. So it made sense. It made sense. We're like, okay, he can't actually do these things. And then there's another scene. It's after our main character goes through his last preview, his last run through before the opening day. And he has this moment where he gets caught outside and people are just laughing at him online. He just feels like he's a joke. So he goes to the bar and he meets this big time Time magazine reporter, like critic, a movie, like a Broadway critic. And she pretty much tells him that she's going to destroy his play without even seeing it, because she just hates what Hollywood actors stand for. She thinks they're just dribble, which I thought was really interesting. That it kind of shows what people are like, you know? Just like how our main character, even though he hasn't played the role as a Birdman for more than a decade now, going on 20 years, still every time someone sees him, it's not, hey, there's this guy, and there's Rickman, and he's actually the new Broadway actor, or he did this, blah blah blah, he did this. No, all we see is they only address him as, hey, Birdman. So just like how all these extras in the film are talking about Birdman and like addressing our main character, is that they already have this preconceived notion that he's not what he says he is. Like, he's not a serious Broadway actor, he's Birdman. And the critic kind of sees him that way too. She already has this preconceived notion. It's a Hollywood actor doing a Broadway film. It's gonna be shit. That's what she thinks already. She'll go in, but she's like, I'm gonna destroy it without even seeing it. Which is really interesting, that it has that kind of parallel. So anyway, our main character buys a bottle of whiskey and drowns his sorrows, because, I mean, we've all been there. But, and all of a sudden, we get this point when he wakes up and Birdman, the manifestation of the character that he played, is like following him and telling him, like, why are you messing around with this? You could be like on a star, like people would pay to see you return to your role and everything. And it's like, he's not wrong. Like, for example, we just saw like Robert Downey Jr. die in Endgame. Spoilers if you haven't seen it, but yeah, like, we've seen him die, but I guarantee you, in like 20 years from now, if we see, like, in a Marvel movie, if they're still going on, if Robert Downey Jr. like reprised his role, took back up his role as Iron Man, people would lose their shit. Like, they would love to see that. Now, it might not be as Iron Man, might be as like an AI or something, but people would lose their shit. They would be like, oh my god, it's Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark. So obviously people would love to see this. People would love to see our main character in this film take back up his role. But at the same time, it's not the same. Like, it's never going to be the same. He even expressed it to the voice of the main character. He was saying how, like, look, I'm like a carcass. I'm fat, I'm old, I'm no longer who I was playing that role, so the energy won't be the same, obviously. But we get our second instance of this kind of altered reality that the main character has coming into contact with ours. Because for somehow our main character gets on top of a roof and people are shouting like, "Hey, this is for a movie," and he's like, "It's a movie," and people are like, "Ah." So but it's really interesting because he goes like music, and like music starts playing, and it looks like he's about to fly off the ledge, but then we see someone like pull him down and say, "Hey, are you all right? You know where you need to go?" And he's like, "Oh, I know exactly where we need to go." And then he runs back off and jumps off the building and flies down New York City, going back to the theater, which is really, it's a great scene. Like how it was filmed, how he's above everything. That's what this Birdman alter ego is telling him, is that if he just accepted who he was as a Hollywood actor and not a Broadway actor, he would be flying over everyone. Like people would idolize him. He would be a god. But eventually he lands back at the theater where his show is going on, and he walks off. And for a second, we are left with, wait, was that real? Until we see a cab driver follow our main character, or attempt to, asking to be paid, saying like he did not pay, that's illegal, and eventually he gets his money. So once again, we're having reality and our altered reality coming into contact with each other. It's just like in these movies, like for example, Lord of the Rings. There's an iconic scene where, like, for the life of me, I can't think of the character's name, but it's like the king or prince or something, and he kicks a helmet, and it lets out this agonizing cry, and you're like, oh my gosh, like that's so real, and it has to be real because the feelings are behind it. And then it comes out that that was real. Like the actor kicked this helmet and he broke his toes. So he let out that scream, not of agony or for loss or anything, out of actual pain. And that's the take they went with, because they were like, that is real. And we see that all the time. Like Tom Cruise, he constantly puts this, like he does his own stunt, so it's real. He doesn't use a stunt double. So finally, we get to the show that night. First act, it's going great. People are loving this show. They're like, oh my god, I didn't know he could act. And they even address him as the Birdman can act. And that's like really interesting. So anyway, the main character, he's with his ex-wife and he's having this talk, reliving his past, how he almost killed himself after she caught him cheating. And he says, I tried to drown myself. Like I drove out to Miami and tried to drown myself, but then the ocean was filled with jellyfish and he was stung everywhere. And then she said, the ex-wife says something like, you told me those were sunburns. And he's like, you believed it. And she says, honestly, I didn't give a shit. Which is important. So remember that line. Remember the fact that he told her a lie, but she didn't give a shit because it was real. Like you could see the marks. So it was real. So this whole entire this play he's doing, it ends with him killing himself. And we see how it's supposed to run out. Knocks on the door, confronts the cheating wife, which is probably a reflection of our protagonist's real life experience. How he cheated with his wife. He was probably confronted. He hits the guy she's sleeping with. Then he kills himself. Just points the gun at himself and dead. But this time, the scene plays different. He still knocks on the door, confronts the wife. But instead of punching the lover, instead he points a gun at his lover, his wife or whatever, goes bang. Points at the lover and goes bang. And then he faces the audience, which is something he has never done with the scene before. He goes bang. And then he points it to his head. He goes bang. Now, in every other take they did with this scene, he had a prop gun. But in this scene, he had a real gun. And he shoots off shoots himself, and people scream and gasp. But then they give him a standing ovation. Next thing we see, he's waking up from a hospital, in a hospital room. His ex-wife is staring out the window with a bunch of flowers. His manager, runs in, tells him, oh my gosh, you're on the front page of the Times. People love you. They're having a vigil for you in Central Park. Pretty much telling him he's famous again. He's seen as more than Birdman. We learn that he didn't shoot himself. He shot off his nose. He didn't shoot his head. He shot his nose. And then a bunch of reporters come in and they're asking what were you doing when you tried to kill yourself? And the producer pushes them out, and he tells our protagonist, say it was an accident, he didn't mean to, of course. Then his daughter comes in. His daughter's 25, maybe late 20s, early 30s. She comes in and she gives him flowers, his favorite. He tries to smell them. He says he can't smell with his new nose. He got a new nose. She says, okay, I'll leave you here, after embracing her father, to get a vase. So after seeing this, after she leaves, our protagonist goes to the bathroom, takes off his bandages, and he sees his new nose, and then he hears a flush of the toilet, and he looks and he sees the physical embodiment of the Birdman character there. He's just shaking his head, and he says goodbye, or something along those lines, saying goodbye to the character, he's moving on. And then we see him look out the window. He sees birds flying. So then he opens the window. Then he steps out. And then he jumps. But we don't see him fall. Next thing we see is his daughter come in. Looks at the bed where her father was. He's not there. She goes to the bathroom. He's not there. Sees the windows open. Runs with a face of terror, like she's going to find her father. Looks down and we don't see it. But then we look. She looks up and she's smiling, eyes bright. almost, but we don't see what she's looking at. But we're led to believe that what she's looking at is her father flying or floating. Now, I might be wrong in saying this, but I believe everything that happens after he shoots himself is not real. I believe that is his true death. Because I might be wrong, but when he actually holds the gun up to his head, the placement isn't right here, isn't right here, and we can see that in the bandage shot, when he takes off his bandages, he has no damage on the sides. It's just on his nose. So he holds a gun up to his head and he shoots. Now, I don't believe that he actually killed. I don't think he survived that. I think he did not shoot himself in the nose. He shot himself in the head, killing himself on the theater floor, on the stage. So after doing so, he is alive, right? Like, supposedly. But I think all this is a false reality, like a picture that they're painting, that now this is the death of the Birdman. Because like everything that happens is true. It's just anything that involves our main character, like the physical interactions between the ex-wife, the producer, his daughter, are fake. Because, but I still believe the movie or the production was a hit. People loved it. But that was the death of the Birdman figure, that Birdman version of him, because people know him now for this, not being Birdman. So that's what I think happened. Now, the big thing that I take away from this film is that actors, whether it's Hollywood or Broadway or even a high school production, their role is to make you believe in their character, make you believe the scene, make you believe that what you are seeing on the stage is real. They want to get you invested, because no one's invested in something that's fake. We know fake. We believe that's fake. We know. And as a mascot I was a mascot in high school and in college. And the big thing about mascotting is convincing people that you are more than just someone in a suit. You are that character. And that's what actors do. They convince the viewers, the patrons, the people seeing their shows, that what they are seeing on stage is real. Now, some people are method actors, and we even see a representation in this. I think his name's Mike, who he literally gets a hard-on stage and actually attempts to fuck his scene partner there, but he doesn't. But we see him as a method actor. We see what he does. He even tells himself anything he does outside is fake, but what he does on the stage is real. And that's how he makes the audience convinced that it is real, that the production is real. We see the actress that Mike tried to fuck on stage. This is her first time on Broadway production, and for her, what is real is getting validation that she is on Broadway. And the current love interest of Rickman At this one point, she's pregnant, but then she realizes she's not pregnant. I guess she got her period or something. But we kind of hear in the dialogue and the monologues that her character in the play has that her character was pregnant, but she didn't tell the father, and she loses a baby or something. You don't hear all of it, but I believe for that actress to make it real for the audience, she takes part of what she's experiencing in her personal life and applies them to the real world, or what experiences from the real world and takes them to her character. Like this failed pregnancy, she takes it to her character and it gives it that sense of realness. And Rickman, he's more of a Hollywood, like he writes out all these lines and he remembers these lines, but he has this moment where he realizes it needs to be real. So that's when he gets the gun and he shoots himself. And when he shoots himself, everyone stands up, like I said, and gives him a standing ovation. Which tells us that as moviegoers, as audience members in a show, we don't really appreciate what these actors go through. We don't care what happens to the actor. We don't care if the actor gets hurt. We don't care if the actor, in this sense, kills himself. All we care about is that they can fool us into believing it's real. We care about the characters more than we care about the actors. So yeah, I think, to sum it all up, Birdman is a film that blurs the line between reality and illusions, grandeur. It takes a struggling actor trying to prove himself as an artist and more than just a Hollywood actor, more than one role. And by doing so, eventually comes to an end because of that. So if I was to give this movie a rating on a scale of 1 to 10, I would give this movie an 8. The only reason why it's not a 10 is I feel like there are points in this movie where the cinematography goes too far. I believe that there are points in this movie where the supporting actors, they didn't really flesh them out to the point where I wasn't completely invested. There I go again. I'm not invested in the character. I don't care about the actors. I'm invested in the character. So, writing, fantastic. Dialogue, fantastic. Main characters acting, amazing, phenomenal. Message, rock solid. I would love to see the world more. I would love to see interactions more. I would love to see more of Rickman's life, kind of get really deep into his mind, because I don't feel like we got that in this movie. So, yeah, I give this an 8 out of 10. This is a first time thing for me, filming my reaction after I watch a film. I might do this more, I might not. I might publish this, I might put this on YouTube or something, but fuck it, I don't know. We'll see how I feel. But yeah, Birdman, good ass film. Good ass film. So yeah, that's what 8 out of 10 equals. A good ass film. It's not a fucking fantastic film, but it's a good ass film. It's a good ass film. It's a good ass film. So you have the time or energy, I recommend you watch it. And I'll probably catch you tomorrow night for another movie, but for now, this is it. And yeah, eat 'em up, cats, or not. You know what? No. It's the end of it. That's all I gotta say. No eat 'em up, cats, because I'm not talking about Texas State. I'm talking about films. So that's it. That's all I gotta say. And